I remember those early days as far as just the powder riding. You hike up for an hour and sit there and tumble down the hill, hike back up, and it only takes a second to get back down, so I kind of learned to ride pretty quick to get some fun out of that long hike.
People would stop in the middle of the road and they'd look at the winter stick and they'd say, "What is that?" And I'd say, "It's a winter stick." And they'd say, "What is it?" And I'd say, "It's a surfboard for the snow." That's what we called it back then. It was sticking, or winter stick.
We were all skateboarders, riding vert ramps and stuff, and we just started thinking about progressing some of the skate tricks on the snow and just doing some of the basic method errors and indie grabs and different things, and from there it kept going to where the sport is today.
Tahoe was the breaking ground for freestyle snowboarding.
And we were all skateboarders.
The sport was definitely pretty small.
We were kind of like a big family.
Clip tickets like a mad dog, man. It's
The North Shore, it was the proving grounds. It's a place to get yourself hurt.
You know, we looked at the mountain differently.
It kind of just happened. It's nothing we really set out to do.
Catching air, building jumps, building half pipes.
Free riding, skateboard style.
Sleep under the stairs.
There was no scene, you know. The scene was, it was a skier scene.
If you did something, it didn't matter. It was brand new.
It was just a magic time in snowboarding.
But it wasn't anything about the fame and stardom because no one knew anything. There was no fame and stardom in snowboarding. It was just go out there and get as rad as you could, try to outdo the guy beside you. And it was such a camaraderie and such a friend thing. A cool sport to be in the beginning stages of, for sure.
Vermont and stuff, all the Burton boys, Coughlin and Hayes brothers and all those guys, they were racing, because that's what you do in the East Coast, man. You're bred a racer. So I think the biggest thing about Tahoe is just the whole freestyle element came out. It was all here.
I think Mile High Ramp was a catalyst for congregation.
I remember some of those days, I guess late spring or whatever, when we had big winters, we'd be able to skate and snowboard in the same day.
You could snowboard Tahoe City Pipe in the morning and then go ride the ramp in the afternoon.
It totally fused a lot of snowboarding and skating together. That was like the best built ramp at that time.
It was a dead-end court, no houses, nobody around. We could make all the noise and do anything we wanted to. But I built it because I wanted a place for me to skate. I wanted something that was big enough for kids to ride vert, because I loved vert.
It was like a regular place to session, and it was the happening spot.
Because it was like the ramp to go to in the world.
Kidwell was skating that day, even Craig Kelly was skating the day I was there. Duck Boy, Keith Wallace.
Yeah, it brought a lot of good energy into this, into the area. First Massacre at Mile High, Thrasher magazine put it on with Independent.
Amazingly big event for such a small town at the time. Really inspired the locals to ride harder, and seeing what these pros were doing live in person.
It became a scene because nobody hassled us for skating there, and there was no other ramps.
Next year, Massacre 2, Terror 2, 1,000 people showed up. People were hanging in the pine trees because you couldn't see from the ground. There was no bleachers. And I just backed my van up and shot the whole contest. You will be mine. The second contest was the demise and downfall of Mile High, because two old ladies up the street thought they were going to get mugged by all these punk rockers running around town.
It was a lot of partying and a dead cat toss, and
It was like a free-for-all. No police. It wasn't in an arena.
a bunch of stuff took place, a few things I don't even want to mention. And
Thrasher was spitting on stickers and throwing them, and I was one of the kids catching them and running off with them.
It was just this like magnet for everybody to congregate.
Everybody was skating, and then everyone would snowboard.
just gave us kind of the best of both worlds to be able to skate a cool ramp up here in the summer and have fun snowboarding in the winter.
I was looking up to Terry all the time, and I'd hitchhike over there and ride with Terry and Bob and all those guys.
He thought the world of, Terry, and he'd always hung out. And he was like, half the time he would hitchhike up and stay at my house because Terry was there.
Palmer would either hitchhike over or a couple times would drive over there and pick them up. And then we would have like a half-hour hike to get up there. If there was a lot of snow, it was kind of a slow hike. And I remember those days working on it way more than we got to ride it.
You'd have to make like a ramp. You'd have to dig it yourself. We'd go out there with shovels and a case of Budweiser and just dig away until it was done, and then just hit it up.
Yeah! Now, alley-oop!
We were four-wheeling around in the summer, and we found this ditch that had been dug out by some loaders and stuff, and went up there the next winter with some shovels, and we built it up, and Tahoe City Halfpipe was history from there on.
That was freestyle back then, because that's all we really had.
Early Tahoe City quarterpipe days were probably pretty much the forefounding of really progressing the skateboard tricks as far as being able to take off on vert and land back down just like on a vert ramp.
The Worlds was a really big deal back then.
It was something. All of a sudden, we had something to really ride for besides just going out and screwing around.
I couldn't believe that there was that many snowboarders in the world, let alone in one place.
Didn't really know what to expect when we went up there.
Tom Sims did a great job publicizing it, so people came out of the woodwork. It wasn't just 10 guys, it was 300 people showed up for that thing.
You thought it was such a small sport, you only knew a few people locally that did it.
From Colorado, from Washington, from Vermont.
One guy from Japan showed up, a couple guys came from Quebec.
It was really cool just being at those first few contests and being a part of it. The one thing we didn't have back then was actually a half pipe to ride and train in. I mean, that's pretty much where it was at, just friends pushing each other to get better.
People didn't know what to do. Like in the World Championship run that you did, you were like trying some new And if you pulled it off, you might have won or got a good score because you didn't ever train it.
There was so much energy at the event. Everybody pushed each other and rooted and cheered because you wanted to see him either make it or just have the most hilarious wreck of their life, you know, which got even a bigger roar from the crowd. Everybody was just behind everybody.
Probably after the second World Championship in the half pipe, there was a little bit more pressure to get out there and do well, and you know, all you can do is ride for yourself and do the best you can.
Downhill was like the most nuts event ever back then. No tail, you're just mocking down the hill and you hit the washboard and trying to stay on your board through the timing, you know, break the beam on the finish. You had crowds cheering at the start. Everybody who was waiting to go were like cheering the next guy going. You had people at the finish, you know, cheering the guys coming across the finish line. The guys that were like hiking back up or, you know, or on the lift, people were like yelling because the lifts were like right next to the course. Was the only guy that rode hard boots back then for everything. A lot of guys either specialized or you had to do it all because of the overall title. Terry did it all, Palmer did it all, Craig when he came up, he did it all. Yeah, dude! I think Craig was probably one of the last guys that really did everything on a freestyle board.
I met so many people that I had never met before, and so many people that showed up met people that they had never met before.
The guys that ran the companies all, you know, hung together, and, you know, partied together, and got crazy together, and got arrested together.
It made people think this isn't just something we're doing on our own and we're the only people doing it. This is finally a real sport because there's a world championships.
Terry Kidwell, man. If there's anything out of this industry, it's Terry Kidwell.
Yeah! Kidwell had the style back then, man, you know?
Terry Kidwell, basically the father of freestyle.
we wanted to be like Kidwell.
Back then for style was obviously Terry Kidwell.
Kidwell is the reason that we're all sitting here today, I'll tell you that. King of freestyle.
There's nothing negative you could ever say about Terry.
Kidwell, you know what? I think as far as influence, I think he must have had the most on me in the early days.
Terry laid the groundwork for all of us, I'd say. All of us.
Goofy-footed madman is the only reason snowboarding's here.
I'd say the biggest board that had the biggest influence in freestyle snowboarding back then was the Terry Kidwell, the Sims Roundtail.
He made the kicktail snowboard that you can ride fakie on. That was the Terry Kidwell model.
And then he came out with that board, of course, and changed the industry with that. And then everybody started copying that style, and the rest is history.
And just pushed Tom Sims to make a kicktail on the back so we could start riding it like you do on a skateboard. That was another scenario of just driving by and we saw this big wave that had built from the wind. And we went up there and kind of dug out the transition, and that thing had like a hill behind it where you could start as high as you wanted as far as trying to go as high as you could out of it. Yeah, it was another one of those small session things where just a couple of us friends really knew about it at the time, and we'd just go up there and session like all day long.
Snowboarding shreds.
Keith Kimmel, when he showed up to Tahoe City Halfpipe, he pretty much joined that crowd and got good at hardpack, and he started riding the Donner quarter pipe too.
You know what was aggressive from back in the 80s was Keith Kimmel. He was aggressive. He rode his snowboard like a skateboard because he'd always like slash walls, and he always had like good style. And he had a beard.
Damien, he was a good rider, man. I remember back in the day, just snowboarding with him, he did a lot of cool. He'd go for it.
Kidwell was our mentor for me, Sean, and all the guys who were like us back in the day. We were the young kids who were trying to chase Kidwell's style. He was the man around Tahoe, and everybody knew it.
First trick that came to mind when we started snowboarding was to catch method airs. I mean, we were doing that off straight jumps before we got into the quarter pipes anyways. It was probably one of the earliest skate tricks too. I remember just coming down into those after having some experience from the Tahoe City quarter pipe and trying to get a little more speed to go out a little higher. Once you're up there, you just want to grab and try to do something styly, like a nice fat method. It's only one hit, so you got to hike back up and do it again. Doing rocket airs in those early days was completely like seeing Christian Hosoi do that on a skateboard.
Hosoi, like I said, from skating, he was my biggest idol, and then Terry was my idol in snowboarding.
So he was working on methods, he's working on Andrax.
At one point, I started thinking about trying to throw a 540.
The only one you could really do it because the wall was better, the drop in was longer, and you could get more speed, you could go bigger, was up at Donner. You had that cornice with the lip on it, and we could actually work it till those oververts would throw you out, and you could get big, and then it would actually throw you into a twist almost.
And I guess it was possibly the first McTwist ever thrown was up at that Donner Ski Ranch quarter pipe. I think I remember a lot of screaming going on. People were stoked, and I probably had a big smile on my face too.
McTwist, the real McTwist back in the day, you know? all flopped and sweet looking. It's awesome, man. I love Terry. Just from his riding alone, nothing else. Just from watching him ride and the way he, you know, put his board where he wanted it and the way, you know, it's great, man.
It's called snowboarding. It's the radically exciting new sport that has definitely hit the slopes. And it's caught the attention of athletes and advertisers as well. Tom Shea is the International Snowboard editor and publisher, yes?
That's right.
What's going on with snowboarding today?
Well, as you can see from the film, Dorothy, snowboarding is an exciting sport. It's on the brink of a huge surge in popularity throughout the world. And frankly, over the last 2 decades, you know, we've seen a couple of sports take hold of America, windsurfing in the 70s, skateboarding in the 80s, and I believe that snowboarding is a sport of the 90s.
Take a drink and laugh out loud. Look around, look back down, you're a one-man crowd. And the words just flow on out. I just said that so I would have something to say.
Hey, you know, we can all come and ski, but our son or our daughter or you know, someone else in the family can't snowboard here.
Brad, I'm sorry. We're running way out of time. Listen, thank you all for coming today. I hope you've enjoyed our segment on snowboarding. See you next week, and happy snowboarding.
One, two, three, four.